Loving yourself is something many people struggle with, yet it's one of the most important skills you can develop. When you truly learn to value and care for yourself, everything in your life changes. Your confidence grows, your challenges become easier to handle, and your happiness becomes less dependent on others. This isn't about being selfish or perfect. It's about recognizing your worth and treating yourself with the kindness and respect you deserve every single day. In this video, you'll discover practical steps and honest advice to help you start this journey right now. You'll learn how to face your fears, quiet your inner critic, set healthy boundaries, and build habits that support your mental and emotional well-being. If you've ever felt stuck or unsure about how to love yourself more, this video will guide you through simple real-life actions that make a big difference. Stick around, because by the end you'll have the tools and motivation to start putting yourself first without guilt or hesitation. Chapter 1. Embrace your true self every single day. Every morning you wake up, you are presented with a choice. You can either show up as someone who tries to be what others expect, or you can choose to live as your true self. This one decision, repeated every single day, shapes how you feel, how you think, how you grow, and how you experience life. Most people never stop to ask themselves who they truly are, because they are too busy trying to be what the world wants them to be. They dress how others expect, speak the way others approve, chase goals that don't belong to them, and measure their worth by someone else's standards. But real peace, real power, and real confidence begin the moment you start living in alignment with your real self. Not your image, not your reputation, but the quiet, honest truth of who you are when no one is looking. The world does not teach you how to accept yourself. It teaches you how to improve your appearance, how to fix your flaws, how to compare and compete, how to silence your feelings, to maintain control. You're told you must earn love, prove your value, and gain permission to be yourself. But this isn't true. You were born worthy. You don't have to earn love, you need to allow it. You don't have to prove yourself, you need to understand yourself. You don't have to gain permission, you need to give it. Embracing your true self means stepping away from this noise and facing the mirror without filters, lies, or masks. It means honoring the person you are, not the person others want you to be. This is not about being selfish, it is about being honest. The more honest you are with yourself, the more whole you become. Many people fear this honesty. They avoid self-reflection because they're afraid of what they might find. They think if they look too closely, they'll uncover something broken, something unworthy. But the truth is, what you find when you look deeply is not weakness, it's strength. You find resilience in your scars. You find wisdom in your mistakes. You find dignity in your struggles. And most importantly, you find a person who has survived, adapted, and kept going. That person deserves love, not judgment. That person deserves support, not shame. Embracing yourself means standing by that person even on the hard days. So how do you do it? You start small. You don't wait for a perfect moment. You don't wait until you've improved everything. You begin with awareness. You pause in the middle of your routine and ask yourself one simple question. Am I being real right now? It's a quiet question, but it reveals everything. Are you speaking your truth or saying what's safe? Are you making decisions based on what you want or what will impress others? Are you ignoring your emotions just to seem strong? Every answer you give brings you closer to who you really are. That's where the journey begins. You cannot love yourself if you are always abandoning yourself. You abandon yourself when you stay silent to avoid conflict. You abandon yourself when you say yes to things you don't want. You abandon yourself when you pretend to agree just to fit in. And every time you do it, you feel smaller, weaker, more disconnected. The cost of pleasing others is often losing your connection to yourself, and that's too high a price. If you want real freedom, you must stop negotiating your identity for comfort. You must start standing with yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. This doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It means you stop betraying yourself to be accepted. There's a difference between connection and dependence. When you love yourself, you can connect without losing yourself. You can care without sacrificing your truth. You can listen without shrinking, and the more you live this way, the stronger your self-respect becomes. Self-love is not a moment of inspiration. It's a daily act of commitment. It's not a feeling that shows up when life is easy. It's a practice you build when things are hard. When you embrace your true self, you stop running from your emotions. You stop labeling your feelings as weak or wrong. You learn to sit with your sadness without shaming it. You learn to hold space for your anger without losing control. You learn to feel your fear without letting it define you. This is emotional maturity. This is inner strength. Being true to yourself means being honest about how you feel and allowing yourself to experience it without judgment. That's how healing happens. That's how you start trusting yourself again. You also stop comparing yourself to others. Comparison is the enemy of authenticity. When you measure your worth by someone else's path, you forget your own. You start doubting your progress, questioning your choices, and losing sight of what matters to you. But your life is not a competition. It's a journey, and no one else is walking the exact same road. You don't need to be ahead of anyone. You just need to be real with yourself. That's the only standard that matters. Every time you compare, you reject your own experience. But every time you return to your truth, you reclaim your power, and you begin to let go of shame. Shame tells you that you are not enough, that something is wrong with you, that if people really knew you, they would walk away. But shame is a liar. The more you embrace your full self, the light and the shadow, the more shame loses its grip. You realize that being flawed doesn't make you unworthy. It makes you human. You don't have to hide your story. You don't have to pretend to be perfect. The more open you are with yourself, the more peace you create inside. And when you're at peace, you stop needing approval from others. People often think self-love is about affirmations and feel-good routines. But true self-love is deeper than that. It's in the hard choices. The moment you say no, even when it makes you uncomfortable. The moment you stop chasing someone who doesn't value you. The moment you walk away from situations that drain you. These are the moments that build real confidence. Not fake confidence that relies on praise, but quiet, steady confidence that comes from living in truth. That kind of confidence can't be taken from you. You also start taking care of yourself without guilt. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You learn what energizes you and what drains you. You learn what environments help you grow and which ones hold you back. You stop apologizing for resting. You stop feeling bad for taking space. You stop explaining why you need time alone, because you understand that your needs are valid. Your well-being matters, and when you honor yourself consistently, you start to feel whole again. The more you show up for yourself, the more you become someone you can rely on, and that changes everything. You stop needing people to save you. You stop waiting for someone else to fix your life. You take responsibility for your path. You trust your choices. You respect your voice. And slowly, you become your own source of strength. That's how true love grows, not from perfection, but from consistency. You don't have to do everything at once. Just begin. Speak honestly even when it's hard. Take time for yourself without apology. Stand up for your values, even when others don't understand. Make choices that reflect your real desires, not your fears. Every small step builds a deeper relationship with yourself. And over time, those steps lead to a life that feels true, not just impressive. You may lose some people along the way. Not everyone will support your growth. Some people only accept you when you play small. When you change, they may try to guilt you back into your old role. But that's not your burden. You are not responsible for other people's comfort. You are responsible for your integrity. And the people who truly love you will celebrate your truth, even when it changes the dynamic. Real connection is built on honesty. If you can't be yourself in a relationship, you are not truly connected, and you start to feel different. Not in a loud or dramatic way, but in a quiet, powerful way. You walk taller, you speak with more clarity, you rest without guilt, you express without fear, you live without apology. Not because you think you're better, but because you finally understand your worth. You no longer look outside for validation because you've built it from within. That is the foundation of all real success, all real peace, and all real happiness. Every day is a new chance to return to your truth. Some days you will drift. Some days you will forget. That's okay. What matters is that you come back. That you keep choosing yourself over and over until it becomes natural. Until your life feels like home, not a performance. Until your actions align with your values. Until your words reflect your beliefs. Until your habits serve your healing. That's what it means to embrace your true self. And when you do, you don't just change how you feel, you change how you live. You are not here to be accepted by everyone. You are here to be honest with yourself. You are not here to impress others. You are here to fulfill your own potential. You are not here to fit into someone else's idea of success. You are here to create a life that reflects your truth. Embracing yourself is the beginning of everything. The beginning of strength. The beginning of peace. The beginning of deep, lasting love. Not just from others, but from the only person who is with you through it all. You. And every single day, you have the power to make that choice. Chapter 2. Challenge negative thoughts with positive, honest self-talk. Most people live their lives unaware of how often they speak against themselves in silence. It begins in early moments, before breakfast, before a word is spoken aloud. Those internal judgments rise quietly. They whisper things like, "You're not good enough, you messed up again," or "Why can't you just get it right?" These thoughts are often accepted as truth without being questioned, and over time, they shape how you see yourself, how you act, how much you try, and whether you believe you deserve happiness. The truth is, your mind listens closely to what you say inside, and the longer you let those thoughts go unchallenged, the more they turn into habits that weaken your ability to grow, to feel proud, or even to try again when life gets hard. You don't choose which thoughts arrive in your head, but you do choose what to believe and what to feed. Not every thought deserves your attention, and not every idea you have is accurate. Just because you think something doesn't make it real. A thought is a suggestion, not a sentence. Learning to challenge what your mind throws at you takes effort, but it is the foundation of lasting change. It allows you to take control of your inner world instead of being ruled by automatic self-criticism. It's not about pretending that you're happy or pretending everything is fine. It's about telling yourself the truth in a way that supports growth rather than blocks it. Negative thinking feeds on silence. The more you let it run without interruption, the stronger it becomes. You must interrupt it with something grounded, something calm, and something rooted in the present. Honest self-talk is not about forcing fake confidence. It's about giving yourself a realistic voice that helps you see clearly when doubt tries to take over. It's about offering yourself balance when the inner voice swings too far into fear, shame, or defeat. You don't have to be perfect at this. You just have to be willing to stop and answer back when a thought tries to pull you under. Most of the time, the mind repeats what it has been taught. If you were criticized often, you'll likely criticize yourself automatically. If you were ignored, you might believe your needs don't matter. If you were only praised when you achieved something, you may tie your worth to constant results. But this is not who you are, it's what you learned, and you can unlearn it. You can build a new way of thinking. You can reframe how you speak to yourself and make your inner world a safer place to be. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen with intention, repetition, and patience. When a thought arises that tells you you're failing or falling behind, stop and examine it. Where is the evidence? Would you say those words to someone else in the same situation? Are you looking at the full picture, or just focusing on one flaw? Most negative thoughts are not based on logic. They are emotional reactions disguised as facts. To challenge them, you need to speak back with clarity. You can say, "This moment is hard, but it doesn't define me." You can say, "I'm learning, and that means I'm growing." You can say, "I made a mistake, but I'm still moving forward." These phrases are not just comforting, they're stabilizing. They give you a pause, a place to stand when your emotions are trying to knock you down. If your thoughts often spiral into harsh territory, practice observing them without immediately reacting. Notice the pattern. Catch when your mind exaggerates, rushes to worst-case scenarios, or attaches your worth to a single outcome. That awareness is the beginning of freedom. Once you notice the pattern, you can choose to pause, breathe, and bring in something new. You can introduce a different voice, one that speaks to your potential, your effort, and your truth. You are not helpless against your thoughts. You are capable of guiding them with discipline and care. The strength of self-talk comes from consistency, not perfection. You won't always catch every negative thought, and you won't always respond in the best way. That's okay. The goal isn't to be flawless. It's to build a habit of returning to what's helpful. When your inner voice becomes more balanced, your outer behavior becomes more stable. You take more risks. You recover more quickly from setbacks. You stop punishing yourself for being human. You begin to treat yourself as someone who matters, not just when you succeed, but in every moment you try. One of the most powerful shifts happens when you stop expecting your thoughts to match your mood. On days when you feel down, your thoughts may naturally follow that energy, but that doesn't mean you have to believe everything they say. Your thoughts can reflect your mood, or they can shape your mood. You decide which direction to take, and the more you practice guiding your thoughts, the more control you gain over how you feel, how you respond, and how you move forward through difficulty. Challenging negative thoughts does not mean ignoring your problems. It means facing them with honesty instead of self-blame. If you failed, you admit it without turning it into a personal attack. If you're struggling, you describe it without calling yourself weak. This honesty builds trust with yourself. It lets you be real without being cruel. It teaches your mind that it's safe to feel, to fail, to start over, and that safety becomes the ground where confidence grows. There will be moments when your old thoughts return louder than ever. In those moments, it's easy to fall back into old reactions, but those moments are also opportunities. Each time you notice the pattern and respond differently, you break its power a little more. You remind your mind that it no longer gets to control you without being questioned. You reinforce a new path, one built not on automatic fear, but on conscious choice. Some days all you need to say is I'm doing my best, and that's enough for today. Other days you'll need to be firm and say, that thought is not helping, I'm not feeding it anymore. And some days you'll need to be gentle and say, I'm hurting, and I'm allowed to take care of myself. This is how you build a relationship with your mind, not by forcing it into silence, but by guiding it towards something more truthful and steady. You don't need to become someone else to speak kindly to yourself. You just need to stop making yourself the enemy. You don't have to pretend that you're fearless or perfect. You just need to stop treating your struggles as proof that you're broken. You are not broken. You are learning, and learning is hard. It takes time. It takes failure. It takes showing up on the days when nothing feels easy. And on those days, your self-talk becomes your anchor. It keeps you grounded. It reminds you who you are and what matters most. With every intentional word you speak inside, you are shaping your mindset. You are building emotional muscle. You are creating distance between who you are and the negative stories that no longer serve you. This work is not always exciting, but it is powerful. It changes the way you think, which changes the way you live. Every small step matters. Every time you catch a thought and choose a better one, you're doing something extraordinary. You're choosing clarity over confusion, truth over fear, and self-respect over self-attack. This is not a one-time fix. It's a daily process, but it's worth it, because your relationship with yourself is the foundation of everything else. And when that relationship becomes stronger, more honest, and more supportive, your entire life begins to reflect it. Chapter 3: Build resilience by facing fears, step by step. Fear is not the problem. Avoiding fear is the problem. Every time you avoid what scares you, you give it more control. You shrink your confidence, you limit your options, and you slow your growth. Fear does not leave on its own. It waits, it watches, and it grows when ignored. The only way to weaken fear is to face it, and the only way to face it without being overwhelmed is to do it gradually, step by step, moment by moment, challenge by challenge. Resilience is built through these steps, not through grand acts of bravery, but through steady, intentional movement toward discomfort. There is no secret formula to becoming fearless. You don't need to erase fear to live fully. You need to learn how to keep moving, even when fear is present. Resilience is not a trait you are born with. It's a skill you build when you stop backing down from the things that make you nervous, insecure, uncertain, or vulnerable. And this doesn't happen all at once. It happens when you start choosing action over hesitation in small areas of your life where fear has been quietly in control. Think about the situations you tend to avoid. It could be difficult conversations, unfamiliar environments, personal goals you've postponed for years, or decisions you delay because you feel unprepared. Every time you avoid them, you reinforce the idea that you are not capable. But when you take even a single step forward, something changes. You begin proving to yourself that you can act before you feel ready. That single act becomes a new message to your brain. It says, I can do hard things. I can handle discomfort. I can grow. The key is to start small and stay consistent. You don't need to confront your biggest fear tomorrow. That would only trigger overwhelm and reinforce failure. But you can take a smaller version of that fear and face it in a way that feels manageable. You can speak up in a moment you'd normally stay silent. You can try something new without needing to be perfect. You can sit with uncertainty without rushing to escape it. These are the actions that build emotional muscle. You take a small step, then another, and another, until what once felt impossible becomes familiar. Every time you take a step into something difficult, You teach your nervous system that you are safe. This is important. Fear often tricks your body into reacting as if you are in danger, even when you are simply uncomfortable. When you take calm, steady action in the face of fear, your brain starts to update its response. It learns that discomfort is not the same as danger. That distinction is where courage begins to form, not as a lack of fear but as a new understanding of it. Resilience is also built by changing how you talk to yourself during these moments. When you feel fear rising, your self-talk matters more than ever. If your inner voice says, "You're going to fail," you will hesitate. If it says, "This is too hard for you," you'll retreat. But if it says, "You've handled hard things before," or "This is just one step, not forever," you gain momentum. The words you use in the moment shape how far you go. You don't need loud confidence, you just need steady support from within. Fear often attaches itself to a story. A story about what might go wrong, what others might think, or what you might lose. Most of these stories are exaggerations. They are worst-case scenarios written in panic. One of the best ways to break fear is to ask yourself, what is the actual risk here, and can I handle the outcome if it doesn't go well? Usually the real answer is yes. You might be uncomfortable, but you won't be destroyed. You might feel awkward, but you'll recover. When you face that truth, fear begins to loosen its grip. You also need to be honest about how fear disguises itself. Sometimes it looks like perfectionism, where you wait until conditions are ideal before taking action. Sometimes it looks like procrastination, where you distract yourself with easier tasks. Sometimes it looks like overthinking, where you stay stuck in preparation and never begin. Recognizing these patterns allows you to interrupt them. It allows you to stop waiting for the fear to go away and start acting despite it. There's a kind of confidence that only comes from doing the thing you thought you couldn't do. It doesn't come from imagining it or talking about it. It comes from taking the step and seeing for yourself that you are capable. That kind of proof changes something deep inside. It becomes a foundation that can't be shaken easily. Because once you've seen your own strength, it becomes harder to believe the voice that tells you you're not enough. Resilience is also about recovery. Not every step forward will go smoothly. Sometimes you'll fall. Sometimes you'll hesitate. Sometimes you'll backtrack. That's not failure. That's part of the process. What matters most is how you respond afterward. Do you judge yourself, or do you regroup? Do you shut down, or do you reflect and try again? Resilience grows in the way you treat yourself after the fall. It's not about how fast you bounce back. It's about not giving up on yourself in the middle of the mess. The truth is, you don't build strength by avoiding fear. You build it by walking through it with clarity and courage. Not to prove something to the world, but to prove to yourself that you're not fragile, not weak, and not limited to the past. Each time you show up for yourself when it's hard, you become more grounded. You become someone you trust. And that trust turns into power, power that no one can take from you. There is no perfect timeline for this process. Some fears will take days to overcome. Others may take years. That's okay. The point is to keep moving, to keep facing the edge of what feels safe and stepping beyond it, even just a little, even if your hands shake, even if your voice cracks, because the goal is not to feel ready. The goal is to act anyway. You don't have to feel fearless to be brave. You just have to move forward with your eyes open and your heart steady. The more you face fear, step by step, the more life begins to open up. You say yes to opportunities that once seemed out of reach. You speak your mind when it matters. You stand your ground in difficult moments. You take on challenges not because they're easy, but because you've stopped letting fear make your decisions. And that shift changes everything. It changes how you feel in your own body. It changes how you relate to others. It changes how much of your potential you allow yourself to explore. You deserve to live a life that is not ruled by hesitation. You deserve to make choices from strength, not avoidance. And that kind of life doesn't begin with one big leap. It begins with one small act of courage repeated over and over, until fear becomes just another part of the journey, not the one steering it. This is how you build resilience. This is how you take your power back. And this is how you begin to trust yourself in ways that no fear can ever undo. Chapter 4. Prioritize your needs without guilt or hesitation. There comes a time in life when you have to stop waiting for permission to take care of yourself. You've spent years considering other people's needs, juggling responsibilities, and putting yourself last. You've learned to be strong for everyone else, while quietly neglecting your own voice. But strength isn't about self-sacrifice without limits. True strength is knowing when to step back and say, I matter too. And the truth is, your needs are not a burden, an inconvenience, or a sign of weakness. They are valid. They are human, and they deserve to be met without guilt or hesitation. You don't need to apologize for needing time alone. You don't have to explain why you want to rest instead of overextend yourself. You don't owe anyone justification for choosing peace over chaos or boundaries over burnout. Yet somehow, many people carry the belief that prioritizing their well-being is selfish. That belief didn't come from nowhere. It was likely shaped by years of being rewarded for putting others first, and criticized when you finally said no. But the cost of constantly neglecting yourself is heavy. It leads to exhaustion, bitterness, and a quiet loss of joy. That's not noble. It's harmful. If you've been taught that your value is tied to how useful you are to others, it can feel uncomfortable to start meeting your own needs. But discomfort is not a reason to stop. It's a sign that you're doing something different, something necessary. Prioritizing yourself doesn't mean you love others any less. It means you are learning how to include yourself in the care you so freely give. It means you're done believing that your well-being only matters when there's nothing else to do. You deserve to have space to breathe without rushing to fix everything around you. You deserve to take breaks without feeling lazy. You deserve to say no without defending your decision. These are not luxuries. They are essentials for a balanced and meaningful life. And no one else is going to protect those essentials for you. That responsibility is yours, and it's time to take it seriously. Start by being honest with yourself about what you actually need, not what you think you should need, not what others expect you to need, but what genuinely nourishes you. Maybe it's solitude, maybe it's support, maybe it's more structure or more freedom, maybe it's fewer commitments or deeper connections. Whatever it is, give yourself permission to name it. Because if you can't name it, you can't protect it. And if you don't protect it, no one else will. This isn't about becoming rigid or self-centered. It's about becoming clear. When you know what you need and act on it, you show up in your life with more presence and less resentment. You stop running on empty. You stop saying yes when you mean no. You stop quietly tolerating things that drain you just to keep the peace. And in doing so, you create a life that's more honest, more fulfilling, and more sustainable. It's not your job to make everyone comfortable at the expense of your own peace. You are not responsible for managing everyone else's reactions to your choices. You are only responsible for making sure those choices are true to what matters most to you. Sometimes people won't understand. Sometimes they'll push back. That's okay. Let them feel what they feel while you stay rooted in your truth. Your needs don't require approval, they require attention. You might notice guilt rising up when you start putting yourself first. That guilt is a conditioned response, not a moral compass. It's a sign that you were taught to ignore yourself, not a sign that you're doing something wrong. When guilt shows up, don't run from it. Recognize it, talk to it, tell yourself, I am allowed to care for myself. I am not wrong for needing rest, peace, or space. Then act anyway. The more you practice this, the quieter the guilt becomes. It's not about getting rid of guilt overnight. It's about not letting it dictate your decisions. Prioritizing yourself also means being clear about your boundaries. If something doesn't align with your values or drains your energy, it's okay to decline. You don't need to over-explain. A simple, respectful no is enough. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors that help you decide what enters your life and what stays out. They protect your time, your energy, your focus, and you are allowed to have them, even if others don't like them. Sometimes prioritizing your needs will require disappointing people. That's hard, especially if you're used to being the dependable one, the helper, the person who always comes through. But you are not a machine. You are not an endless resource. And anyone who truly values you will understand when you need to take care of yourself. Those who don't understand are showing you that their comfort matters more to them than your well-being. And that's useful information to have. You're also allowed to want more. More ease, more support, more fulfillment. You don't have to settle for just surviving. You don't have to accept exhaustion as a way of life. You can choose to create a life that feels good to wake up to, a life where you are not constantly running, constantly fixing, constantly proving, a life that includes you at the center, not just on the edges. Taking care of yourself is not something you earn. It's something you are always worthy of, simply because you exist. You don't have to reach a certain level of success or wait for the right moment. You can start today by asking yourself, what do I need right now? And giving yourself permission to honor that. Even in small ways, especially in small ways, because those small acts of care add up. They build trust with yourself. They remind you that you are not an afterthought. As you begin to prioritize yourself, you may find that some things start to fall away. Commitments that no longer serve you. Relationships that take more than they give. Patterns that kept you stuck. Let them fall. You're not losing anything important. You're clearing space for what truly matters. And what matters most is that you are no longer abandoning yourself to be accepted by others. You don't need to hustle for your worth. You don't need to exhaust yourself to be seen. You are allowed to be a full human being with needs, limits, desires, and dreams. You are allowed to ask for help. You are allowed to rest without earning it. And you are allowed to live a life that feels good, not just one that looks good on the outside. You have spent enough time waiting to be chosen. Now it's time to choose yourself, to protect your peace, to honor your needs, to stop feeling guilty for doing what keeps you whole. This is not selfish. This is wise. This is necessary. And this is the beginning of a life where you don't just survive, you finally get to thrive. Chapter 5. Develop daily habits that nurture your mental health. Feeling better mentally isn't about chasing big, overwhelming changes. It's about showing up for yourself in the small moments, over and over again. There's a quiet kind of power in doing something kind for your mind every day. You might not see the shift immediately, but over time, these daily habits begin to shape how you think, how you feel, and how you respond to the world around you. You start to feel more grounded, more balanced, and more in control, not because life is suddenly perfect, but because you've taken steps to care for the part of you that carries everything: your mind. Your mental health doesn't need grand gestures. It needs steady attention. It needs you to be honest about what supports you and what drains you. When you wake up in the morning, your first thoughts often set the tone for your day. So instead of diving straight into stress or comparison or distraction, give yourself a moment of quiet. Breathe deeply. Stretch slowly. Drink some water. Remind yourself, I'm allowed to start slow. I don't have to rush to be worthy. These are simple actions, but they signal something important. You matter, even in the stillness. Throughout the day, mental wellness is shaped by what you consume. Not just in food, but in thoughts, conversations, and information. Pay attention to how you feel after watching certain videos, reading certain posts, or talking to certain people. If something leaves you anxious, tense, or self-critical, that's a signal to create distance. You don't have to fill your mind with noise. You are allowed to be selective. You are allowed to protect your peace. Instead, seek out things that calm you, inform you, inspire you. Follow voices that speak to your growth, not your insecurity. Movement also plays a role, not because of how it changes your body, but because of how it shifts your state of mind. You don't need to do intense workouts unless you want to. A walk around your block, some light stretching, or even dancing alone in your room can reconnect you to your body and lift your mood. Movement releases tension that often lingers after stress, and it gives you a way to express yourself without words. It reminds you that you are alive, present, and capable of movement even through difficult emotions. What you say to yourself each day also matters more than you think. Most people walk around with a harsh inner voice, one that criticizes, doubts, and shames. You might think you're being realistic, but often you're being unnecessarily cruel. Begin to notice that voice. Notice how often it speaks, then challenge it. Not with fake positivity, but with balanced truth. If your mind says you're failing, you can respond with, I'm doing the best I can, and that counts. If it says you're not good enough, you can say, I may struggle sometimes, but I still have value. The goal is not to erase every negative thought, but to stop believing them without question. Build small check-ins into your day, even if it's just 2 minutes. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? Don't try to fix or change the feeling immediately. Just acknowledge it. Let yourself be honest. If you're overwhelmed, say it. If you're sad, name it. Emotions lose their grip when we stop pretending they don't exist. They become manageable when they're seen. And you are the one who must see them first, before expecting anyone else to understand. Taking time for silence, even in short bursts, is another habit that helps create mental space. You don't need a meditation cushion or a perfect setting. You just need a few minutes without distractions, where you can pause and return to your breath. In those moments, you remind yourself that not everything needs an immediate reaction. Not every thought is urgent. Not every feeling has to lead to action. In silence, you learn to listen, not just to the world, but to yourself. Sleep is also a foundational part of mental wellness that often gets ignored or sacrificed. Create a wind-down routine that tells your body and mind it's safe to rest. Turn off devices, dim the lights, do something that relaxes you. Read, take a warm shower, listen to calming music. Sleep is not wasted time. It is necessary repair, and your brain cannot function clearly if it is always deprived of rest. Respecting your need for sleep is one of the most underrated acts of self-respect. Another supportive habit is journaling, not for the sake of producing anything perfect, but to get your thoughts out of your head and onto paper. When you write regularly, you begin to notice patterns. You begin to see what keeps coming up. You start to hear your own voice more clearly. And that awareness gives you the power to respond to life more intentionally instead of reacting on autopilot. You don't have to write for hours. A few honest sentences a day can help you release what's weighing on you. Connecting with others in meaningful ways is also part of nurturing your mind. That doesn't mean forcing yourself to socialize when you're drained. It means making time for people who see you clearly, who support your growth, who accept you as you are. Even a short, real conversation can remind you that you're not alone. Make time for these connections. They are part of your emotional fuel. They don't have to be constant, but they do need to be intentional. Lastly, mental health is strengthened by giving yourself something to look forward to. Each day, no matter how full or difficult, should have at least one small thing that brings you joy. Maybe it's a favorite snack, a song you love, a peaceful walk, or a moment to sit in the sun. These are not meaningless details. They are lifelines. They remind your brain and body that life is not just about survival, it's about small joys that anchor you through stress and uncertainty. You don't have to master all of this at once. You don't have to be perfect. What matters is consistency. What matters is showing up for your mind in ways that build strength over time. It's okay to have days where you forget, days where things feel too heavy, but as long as you return to yourself, you are moving in the right direction. These daily habits are not chores, they are choices, and each time you choose them, you're building something stronger inside you. You're telling yourself, I am worth the effort it takes to feel better. And you are, always. Chapter 6. Set clear boundaries to protect your energy. It's hard to thrive when your energy is constantly being pulled in directions that drain you. When you don't have boundaries, people start to treat your time, your kindness, and your peace as things they can access anytime they want. And it doesn't take long before you begin to feel resentful, tired, or invisible. That's why setting clear boundaries is not selfish. It's necessary. You are not here to exhaust yourself for everyone else. You are here to live in a way that respects your own limits and honors your own needs. Saying no can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to saying yes just to keep others happy. But you can't keep giving from a place of emptiness. There comes a time when you have to ask yourself, is this helping me grow, or is this taking something from me? I can't afford to give right now. That's where boundaries begin. They start with that question. They begin with paying attention to how you feel after interactions, after obligations, after stretching yourself too thin. Your body often tells you the truth before your mind admits it. Tension, headaches, emotional burnout, these are signals, and they deserve your attention. You don't need to explain yourself endlessly when you decide to protect your energy. A simple, I can't do that right now, or that doesn't work for me, is enough. The people who truly care about your well-being won't need you to justify every decision. They'll respect your limits, even if they're disappointed. And if someone consistently pushes against your boundaries, it's worth asking what they really want from you, connection or control. You don't owe anyone constant access to your emotional availability. You are not a bottomless well. You are a human being who deserves space to breathe. Sometimes, boundaries mean stepping back from people you love. That's hard. But love without boundaries turns into self-sacrifice. It's not about cutting people off. It's about creating enough distance to protect your peace. You can love someone and still say, this is what I need to feel safe. You can care deeply and still choose space. It doesn't make you cold. It makes you honest. And in the long run, honesty builds healthier relationships than silent resentment ever could. Boundaries also mean choosing how much of yourself you give to situations that don't feel aligned. Not every conversation deserves your full emotional investment. Not every conflict needs your participation. You get to decide what drains you and what feeds you, and that decision will look different for everyone. Some people need solitude to reset. Others need time away from certain environments. Some need limits around social media or work hours. Whatever your version of protection looks like, it's valid. You are allowed to need different things than the people around you. There's power in pausing before you commit. When someone asks something of you, give yourself permission to say, "Let me get back to you." This gives you space to check in with yourself. Do you have the time? Do you have the energy? Do you even want to say yes? You're not required to agree just because someone asks. Every yes you give should come from a place of intention, not guilt, not fear, not obligation. If saying yes to them means saying no to your own well-being, then it's not a real yes. It's a quiet betrayal of yourself. Boundaries aren't just about saying no to others. They're also about saying yes to yourself. That might look like blocking off time for rest without apologizing for it. It might mean ending a call when the conversation turns toxic, or refusing to carry someone else's emotional burden just because they expect you to. Every time you set a limit, you are reinforcing the belief that your energy matters, that your presence is not to be taken for granted, that your mind and heart deserve peace. There will be people who don't understand your new limits. Some might feel rejected. Others might get upset. That's okay. Their reaction is not your responsibility. Your job is not to manage their emotions. It's to honor your own. You're not here to keep everyone comfortable at the cost of your own discomfort. You're here to live with clarity, with peace, and with purpose. And that means making choices that sometimes disappoint others in order to protect yourself. Even in work or family dynamics, you are allowed to set boundaries. You can communicate your limits with firmness and kindness. "I'm not available outside these hours. I don't want to discuss this topic anymore. Please don't raise your voice when speaking to me." These are not confrontational statements. They are direct and respectful. They give others a chance to adjust, but they also create a clear standard. Without that clarity, people will continue to assume that your time and energy are always available. You have to teach others how to treat you by showing them what you accept and what you don't. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. Boundaries become second nature. You stop feeling guilty for choosing yourself. You stop over-explaining. You stop shrinking to fit into spaces that don't respect you. You begin to take up your rightful place in your own life. And from that place, you begin to relate to others more honestly. You stop pretending to be okay when you're not. You stop agreeing to things that leave you depleted. You show up as your whole self, someone who respects others, yes, but who also demands the same in return. You are not responsible for fixing everyone. You are not required to absorb every problem. It is not your duty to be the emotional anchor for everyone around you. You can offer support without abandoning yourself. You can be kind without being used. You can care deeply without sacrificing your peace. That balance takes practice, but once you learn it, you begin to feel lighter. You start to breathe deeper. You start to feel like yourself again. Remember, your energy is a limited resource. You don't get more of it by running on empty. You protect your energy by choosing where it goes. You protect it by saying no, by walking away when needed, by listening to your own needs first. That is not weakness. It is strength. That is not selfishness. It is survival. And the more you protect your energy, the more of it you'll have to share with the people and projects that truly matter. That is how you live fully, by giving from a place of fullness, not exhaustion. That is how you honor yourself, and you deserve nothing less. Chapter 7. Practice gratitude to increase your self-appreciation. There's a quiet power in gratitude that most people overlook. It's not about pretending everything is perfect or ignoring the hard parts of life. It's about choosing to look at yourself and your life through a softer, more honest lens. When you start practicing gratitude deliberately, something in you begins to shift. You stop focusing only on what's missing, what's wrong, or what hasn't happened yet. Instead, you start recognizing what's working, what's improving, and what already exists within you. And when you do that consistently, it deepens your self-respect and renews your sense of worth. Gratitude allows you to see yourself as more than your flaws. It helps you focus on your growth, your resilience, your effort, even when the outcomes haven't turned out exactly the way you hoped. You begin to appreciate how far you've come instead of constantly measuring how far you still have to go. That shift changes everything. It helps you move from self-criticism to self-recognition, from comparison to acceptance, from doubt to acknowledgement. And when that becomes a daily practice, your relationship with yourself becomes more supportive, more grounded, and more compassionate. It's easy to forget your own progress when your focus is always on the next goal, the next challenge, or the next thing you need to improve. Gratitude makes you pause long enough to notice what's already good. And that's essential, because without appreciation, you end up living like you're always behind, always inadequate, always catching up to someone else's version of success. But when you practice gratitude, you start feeling more whole in the present moment. You stop rushing to prove your worth, and you start realizing that it's already there. Every day gives you a chance to notice something small but meaningful. Maybe you handled a difficult moment with more calm than usual. Maybe you showed up for yourself in a way you didn't last year. Maybe you rested without guilt. These may not seem like big victories, but they are. Acknowledging them reminds you that growth is happening. You are learning, healing, changing, even if it's not loud or obvious. Gratitude trains your mind to notice those moments and hold on to them. And those moments build your self-worth from the inside out. Self-appreciation doesn't come from waiting for someone else to notice your value. It comes from noticing it yourself, from recognizing your efforts, even when no one is watching, from thanking yourself for not giving up, from honoring the version of you that kept going, even when things were uncertain. Gratitude for your own courage, your patience, your discipline. It rewires the way you speak to yourself. You stop being your own critic and start becoming your own ally. Sometimes we think gratitude is only for the good days, but it's especially important on the hard ones. When things feel overwhelming or disappointing, that's when gratitude becomes a form of self-rescue. You might not be able to change everything in that moment, but you can still anchor yourself in something real. Your breath, your strength, the fact that you're still trying. That quiet acknowledgement helps you find perspective. It reminds you that even in difficulty, there is still something solid within you. And that belief builds self-trust, even when the outside world feels uncertain. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring pain or pretending you're okay when you're not. It means choosing to see the whole picture, not just the hard parts. You can be struggling and still be grateful for your support system. You can be grieving and still appreciate the moments of peace. You can feel lost and still recognize the parts of yourself that are steady. This is what makes gratitude powerful. It holds space for complexity. It teaches you that you're allowed to feel more than one thing at once, and in that space, your self-awareness deepens, your emotional strength grows. You begin to trust your ability to handle life, even when it's messy. The more you practice gratitude, the more your self-perception changes. You begin to focus less on what you think you should be and more on who you already are. You notice the good qualities you bring into the world, the ways you support others, the quiet ways you show up even when things are tough. And when you appreciate those parts of yourself, your confidence grows, not because someone told you to be confident, but because you're finally seeing what's been there all along. Start simple. Begin by thanking yourself for just one thing each day. Maybe it's getting out of bed when it felt hard. Maybe it's sending a message you were afraid to send. Maybe it's showing restraint when you wanted to react. As you build this habit, you'll start to see more. You'll realize you're stronger than you thought. You'll feel more connected to yourself. You'll begin to understand that self-appreciation isn't something you wait for. It's something you practice. Write it down if you need to. Speak it out loud. Reflect on it in quiet moments. What did you do today that deserves acknowledgement? What quality in yourself are you proud of? What challenge have you quietly endured? This isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest. You are allowed to give yourself credit. You are allowed to be proud of your growth. You are allowed to be kind to yourself, not later, but now. You'll find that gratitude also softens your relationship with others. When you start seeing the good in yourself, you're less likely to resent or compete with others. You stop needing external validation to feel worthy. You become more generous because you're no longer operating from lack. You give love without needing it back. You support others without draining yourself. Gratitude makes space for deeper connection, not just with the world, but with yourself. This is not about forcing yourself to be positive all the time. It's about creating a habit of noticing what's working, noticing who you're becoming, noticing that your life, while not perfect, still has moments that deserve your full attention. And in that attention, you'll find clarity, you'll find strength, you'll find appreciation, and that appreciation will turn into self-respect, which turns into self-belief, which eventually becomes self-love. You don't need a big reason to feel grateful. You just need to be willing to notice the truth that's already there. You've made it through things you once thought you wouldn't. You've grown in ways that once felt impossible. You've shown up again and again, even when you didn't feel ready. That's worth acknowledging. That's worth celebrating. And the more you remind yourself of these truths, the more natural it becomes to appreciate who you are. You stop waiting for the world to see your worth, because you already see it yourself, and that is where your strength begins. Chapter 8. Take responsibility for your own happiness now. No one else is coming to save you from unhappiness. That truth might sound harsh at first, but it's also deeply freeing. The moment you stop waiting for others to fix your life, your past, or your emotions, you begin to reclaim your power. Happiness is not something someone can give you, and it's not something you stumble into by accident. It's something you build with small choices, daily decisions, and a deep commitment to stop abandoning yourself. If you keep tying your happiness to someone else's actions, words, or approval, you'll always feel out of control. And that's a hard way to live. Always waiting, always hoping, always being disappointed. You've probably heard people say, do what makes you happy, but they don't talk about the part where you have to get clear on what actually makes you feel fulfilled, grounded, and at peace. That's the work most people avoid. They chase distractions, they blame their circumstances, they point fingers at their past. But nothing really changes until you pause and say, I am responsible for how I feel, and I'm ready to do something about it. That shift isn't just mature, it's transformational. You begin to understand that happiness doesn't come from what you have, it comes from what you allow yourself to believe, say, do, and feel. It's tempting to think life owes you something. After all you've been through, it would make sense to want life to be easier, to expect better treatment, to wish someone would just see you and love you the way you need. But that waiting keeps you stuck. The truth is, Life won't always be fair. People won't always show up how you want them to. But your peace of mind cannot depend on that. When you stop outsourcing your happiness, you get to decide how your story moves forward. You get to choose your priorities. You get to say no to what drains you and yes to what aligns with you. Taking responsibility means asking yourself hard questions. What are you tolerating that's making you bitter? What habits are keeping you stuck? What beliefs are making you feel like you're never enough? Happiness doesn't grow in denial. It grows in clarity. And clarity takes honesty. No more pretending you're okay when you're not. No more hiding behind excuses. No more hoping things will magically change without your participation. This is your life. This is your moment to show up for it. Not perfectly, not all at once, but with intention, courage, and ownership. It also means letting go of the fantasy that someone else will come along and understand you so fully that all your pain will disappear. That kind of connection sounds beautiful, but it places an impossible weight on others. You were never meant to rely on another person to heal wounds they didn't create. It's your job to sit with yourself, understand your needs, soothe your inner conflicts, and offer yourself the acceptance you've been waiting for. When you do that, relationships become healthier. You stop clinging, you stop resenting, you begin relating from a place of fullness rather than lack. Every time you blame someone else for your unhappiness, you give them control over your peace. That's a heavy price to pay. It might feel satisfying in the short term, but over time it drains your energy. Instead of growing, you stay locked in frustration. Taking responsibility doesn't mean taking blame for things that were outside your control. It simply means you're no longer waiting for external conditions to create internal peace. You're learning how to respond to life rather than react to it. You're choosing to build your happiness from the inside out, one conscious step at a time. Sometimes the hardest part is realizing how often you've betrayed yourself to make others comfortable. You stayed quiet when you should have spoken up. You lowered your standards because you didn't want to seem difficult. You put yourself last again and again, hoping that self-sacrifice would earn you love. But happiness doesn't grow in self-abandonment. It grows when you finally say, I matter too. When you stop asking for permission to take care of yourself. When you stop waiting for someone to validate your right to peace. There's no perfect time to begin. You don't need everything figured out. You just need to decide that you're done making your well-being dependent on what happens around you. That choice alone changes your path. It helps you notice your patterns. It encourages you to set boundaries. It pushes you to do the hard things, like saying no, walking away, starting fresh, or holding yourself accountable. These steps aren't easy, but they are necessary if you want to stop surviving and start living. Happiness is also about what you allow into your life. The conversations you engage in, the content you consume, the thoughts you entertain. If you fill your mind with constant comparison, negativity, and pressure, don't be surprised when peace feels distant. You have to protect your mental space like it matters, because it does. You can't grow joy in a mind that's constantly at war with itself. You have to create space for stillness, for kindness, for truth, and that means learning to talk to yourself with compassion, even on your worst days. There's a difference between comfort and happiness. Comfort can keep you in familiar pain. It can trap you in habits that feel safe, but slowly destroy your spirit. True happiness often requires discomfort at first, the discomfort of change, of boundaries, of self-reflection, but that discomfort leads to real freedom. The kind of freedom where you wake up and no longer feel like your life belongs to everyone else. You begin to live on your own terms. You begin to trust your instincts. You stop performing for approval and start living for peace. When you choose to take responsibility for your happiness, you stop wasting time. You stop waiting for perfect circumstances. You stop explaining yourself to people who refuse to understand. You stop holding on to what you've outgrown. You begin to release the guilt of choosing yourself. And in that space, you rediscover your strength. Not the strength to push through or pretend, but the strength to be real, to feel, to change, to rise. This is your reminder. You are not powerless. You are not broken. You are not too late. You have more control than you think. You don't need to ask anyone for permission to be okay. You just need to begin. Today. Now. Not when things are easier. Not when everything feels certain. But exactly as you are, with everything you've got. Take one step, then another. Own your choices. Own your growth. Own your peace. That's how happiness is built, slowly, honestly, and entirely by you. Chapter 9. Cultivate forgiveness toward yourself and past mistakes. You cannot keep punishing yourself for the things you didn't know back then. You were doing the best you could with the understanding, the tools, and the awareness you had at that time. Looking back with regret may feel like you're holding yourself accountable, but there's a difference between accountability and self-punishment. Real growth doesn't come from endlessly criticizing yourself. It comes from being honest about your mistakes, learning what you needed to learn, and then allowing yourself to move forward without dragging the weight of guilt everywhere you go. Forgiveness isn't about pretending nothing happened. It's about acknowledging what happened without using it as a weapon against yourself every day. Some wounds you carry weren't even created by others. They were built by your own repeated thoughts, reminders of moments where you felt you failed, fell short, or didn't measure up. And over time, those thoughts became internal stories, stories that say you're not worthy, not capable, not good enough. But none of those stories are facts. They're conclusions your mind drew when you were hurting and confused. You can't heal if you keep repeating those stories like they're your identity. If you spoke to a child the way you speak to yourself when you reflect on your past, would they feel safe? Would they feel loved? Chances are they'd feel scared, ashamed, and broken. That same inner child still lives in you. They still feel what you say. They still carry the sting of the words you use against yourself. The path to healing isn't paved with perfection. It's built on patience, and forgiveness is a form of patience, a deep, quiet decision to stop picking at the same emotional scabs. You might think that holding on to your mistakes will make you more responsible, that if you keep them fresh in your mind, you'll never mess up like that again. But that's fear disguised as control. You don't need to live in fear to grow. You need awareness. And awareness comes when you can look at your past with compassion, not condemnation. It takes strength to say, I did things I'm not proud of, but I'm not going to let those things define who I am now. That's not denial. That's evolution. The truth is, you will make more mistakes in life, and some of them might hurt others. Some might hurt you, but if you never give yourself room to be human, you'll live in a constant state of emotional paralysis. You won't trust yourself to make decisions. You won't take healthy risks. You'll shrink your life out of fear of repeating the past. That's not freedom. That's survival. Forgiveness opens the door to freedom. It allows you to breathe again, to feel again, to try again, without the voice of shame shouting over your every step. Think about the people you've forgiven in your life. Why did you let them go? Why did you decide their actions no longer needed to sit in the front row of your heart? Maybe it was love. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was time. Whatever it was, you knew deep down that continuing to carry resentment was too heavy. The same is true for your relationship with yourself. Self-forgiveness doesn't mean excusing everything you've done. It means acknowledging that no amount of suffering will rewrite the past. And if suffering won't change it, why keep suffering? There's a version of you that existed in your past who was hurting, lost, scared, or angry. That version may have made poor decisions, but would punishing them now bring healing? Or would it only create more inner division? You don't need to justify everything you've done. You just need to understand it. Look at who you were, what shaped your choices, and what you've learned since then. Then ask yourself, do I deserve peace now? If your answer is yes, then you have to give yourself permission to let go. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. You may still carry memories. You may still feel regret. That's normal. But regret is not meant to be a permanent state of mind. It's meant to point you toward better decisions, deeper wisdom, and greater empathy for yourself and others. You become kinder when you stop fighting with your past. You start showing up in a more grounded way. Your energy softens. You become someone you can trust again. You're not the only one who's made mistakes, but you might be the only one who's still paying for them every day in your mind. That inner punishment cycle needs to stop, because it's keeping you from being fully alive. The shame you carry may feel like it protects you, but it also isolates you. It keeps you from connecting deeply with others, from receiving love without suspicion, and from experiencing joy without guilt. Forgiveness lets the sunlight in again. It says, I won't let old pain run my life anymore. Give yourself space to feel all the emotions that come up when you think about your past. Don't rush to numb them or hide from them. Feel them, understand them, and then gently place them down. Say to yourself, I am allowed to grow from this. I am allowed to move forward. Your worth doesn't disappear because of your lowest moments. If anything, your willingness to face those moments and still choose healing speaks to your strength. It means you're no longer interested in staying stuck in shame. If you wait until you're perfect to feel worthy, you'll wait forever. The world doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be real, to be open, to be willing to heal. That starts with forgiving the version of you who didn't know what they know now. That version wasn't your enemy. They were trying. They were learning. They were surviving. And now you get to do more than survive. You get to live fully, knowing that your past doesn't own you. So, talk to yourself with the same gentleness you offer others. Replace I should have known better with I know better now. Replace I ruined everything with I've learned what matters. Replace I'll never forgive myself with I'm open to forgiving myself even if it takes time. Little by little, this shift in language becomes a shift in identity. You stop identifying with pain and start identifying with growth. You are not your worst decisions. You are not the voice of shame in your head. You are not stuck. You are someone who has walked through difficulty and is still choosing to show up, and that alone is worthy of grace. Offer that grace to yourself, not someday but now. Not when you've earned it, but because you already deserve it. Your healing begins the moment you stop asking your past to define your future, and forgiveness is the door that leads you there. Chapter 10. Celebrate small wins to boost your confidence. It is easy to overlook the small steps you take every day because your focus tends to be on big goals or major achievements. However, celebrating small wins is one of the most powerful ways to build lasting confidence and motivation. These small victories are the building blocks of progress. When you acknowledge them, you reinforce your belief that you are capable, resilient, and moving forward. Ignoring them means missing out on important moments of growth and self-affirmation that can keep you energized on your journey. When you celebrate a small win, you are telling yourself that your effort matters, no matter how modest it seems. This shifts your mindset from feeling overwhelmed by what still needs to be done to feeling empowered by what you have already accomplished. Confidence is not something that appears out of nowhere. It develops slowly through repeated successes, no matter the size. Each time you recognize a small win, you strengthen your inner foundation and build momentum. Most people wait for a big achievement to feel proud, but waiting for that moment can leave you feeling stuck or discouraged. If you only celebrate the finish line, you ignore the many steps that made that finish possible. Every step counts, and recognizing them makes the bigger goal feel more achievable. It also helps break down overwhelming tasks into manageable parts, reducing anxiety and increasing focus. By focusing on small wins, you create a clear path forward, one that feels doable and rewarding. Sometimes a small win is simply choosing to start when you felt like giving up. It might be sending that email you've been avoiding, getting out of bed despite feeling tired, or sticking to a habit for one more day. These moments may not seem significant to others, but they are acts of courage and commitment. They show that you are choosing progress over comfort and resilience over surrender. Celebrating these actions reinforces your identity as someone who doesn't quit, someone who keeps trying even when things are difficult. Celebration doesn't have to be extravagant or public. It can be as simple as a quiet moment of recognition, a note you write to yourself, or a small reward you give yourself. The key is to pause and acknowledge your effort fully. This practice trains your brain to notice positive experiences, making you more aware of your strengths and potential. It helps silence the inner critic that often focuses on what's missing or what went wrong. Instead of self-judgment, you create space for self-appreciation. Building a habit of celebrating small wins also helps in setting realistic expectations. Life is rarely a straight line of success. It's filled with ups and downs. Recognizing small victories means you give yourself credit, even on the days when progress feels slow. This prevents burnout and keeps your motivation alive. When you celebrate consistently, you create a positive feedback loop where achievement leads to confidence, and confidence leads to more achievement. It's important to define what counts as a small win for you personally. Your wins don't have to look like someone else's. They might be finishing a difficult conversation, resisting a negative thought, or making a healthy meal instead of fast food. When you clarify what success means in your own context, you avoid comparisons that can kill confidence. You start valuing your unique journey and the specific challenges you face. Celebrating small wins also strengthens your relationship with yourself. It teaches you to be your own cheerleader rather than your harshest critic. When you regularly recognize your effort, you communicate that your progress matters and that your feelings of accomplishment are valid. This nurtures self-respect and deepens your self-trust. You begin to believe that you are worthy of celebration simply for showing up and doing your best. In the process of celebrating small wins, it's helpful to keep a journal or record of these moments. Writing down your achievements, no matter how minor, makes them tangible. It allows you to look back on your journey and see concrete evidence of your growth. This can be especially encouraging during times of doubt or struggle, when it's easy to forget how far you've come. Reviewing your list of wins can reignite your motivation and remind you that progress is real and ongoing. Sharing your small wins with trusted friends or mentors can also boost your confidence. When you tell someone about a victory, you receive external validation that reinforces your internal recognition. Positive feedback from others can inspire you to keep moving forward. However, it's important that this sharing comes from a genuine place of celebration rather than seeking approval. Your sense of accomplishment should primarily come from within. Remember that confidence is a muscle that grows stronger with use. By regularly celebrating small wins, you exercise that muscle. Each win becomes a proof point that you are capable and competent. This gradual accumulation of confidence helps you face bigger challenges with greater courage. You start to believe in your ability to handle difficulties and to keep growing no matter what comes your way. Sometimes small wins are about breaking free from old habits or negative patterns. Each time you choose differently, each time you refuse to stay stuck in a limiting belief, you create a small victory worth acknowledging. Over time, these tiny changes add up and reshape how you see yourself and your potential. The act of celebration signals to your brain that change is possible and that you are the author of your own story. Celebrating small wins also teaches you to enjoy the journey, not just the destination. When your focus shifts from an uncertain future to the present moment, you experience more satisfaction and peace. You learn to appreciate the process of growth and to find joy in the effort itself. This mindset reduces frustration and impatience, allowing you to keep moving forward without getting discouraged. Confidence built through celebrating small wins creates a foundation for resilience. When setbacks happen, and they will, you have a reservoir of positive experiences to draw from. You remember times you succeeded, even in small ways, and you trust that you can do it again. This belief helps you bounce back faster and face difficulties with steadiness rather than defeat. You deserve to celebrate every step that brings you closer to your goals and your best self. Each small win is a reminder that you are making progress and that your efforts are not in vain. When you make this practice a daily habit, you transform your mindset from one of scarcity and self-doubt to one of abundance and self-confidence. This transformation changes how you approach life, making you stronger, more hopeful, and more alive. No matter where you are on your journey, start today by noticing one small thing you've done well. Give yourself credit. Feel the satisfaction of your accomplishment. Let it fuel you to keep going. Over time, these moments will add up to a powerful story of growth and success. And that story begins with your choice to celebrate the small wins that others often overlook. Chapter 11. Invest time in activities that bring you joy. Life often pulls you in many directions, leaving little time for what truly makes your heart feel alive. Yet investing time in activities that bring genuine joy is essential for a balanced and fulfilling existence. When you prioritize what lights you up, you recharge your spirit and create an inner reserve of happiness that sustains you through challenges. This is not about fleeting pleasures or distractions, but about engaging deeply with things that resonate with your core values and passions. Joy is a signal from your soul reminding you of what matters most, and responding to it is an act of self-respect and self-love. Many people believe joy is a luxury reserved for after everything else is done, but this mindset often leads to burnout and disconnection. When you put your needs and happiness last, life becomes a checklist of obligations rather than a rich experience. By intentionally carving out time for joyful activities, you reclaim control over your emotional well-being. This investment creates a ripple effect, improving your mental health, boosting creativity, and enhancing your relationships. Joy isn't just a reward, it's a vital part of the human experience that fuels your growth and resilience. It's important to recognize what truly brings you joy, not what others expect or what you think you should enjoy. This requires self-exploration and honesty. Reflect on moments when you felt most alive, engaged, and peaceful. Maybe it's spending time in nature, creating art, playing music, cooking, reading, or simply being with loved ones. Joyful activities vary widely from person to person, so avoid comparing your sources of happiness with others. Your joy is uniquely yours, and honoring that uniqueness is a powerful step towards self-acceptance. Sometimes, Rediscovering joy means trying new things or revisiting forgotten interests. Life's demands can bury your passions under responsibilities and doubts. Giving yourself permission to explore without pressure allows you to reconnect with what makes you smile. Approach these moments with curiosity rather than judgment. Notice how your body and mind respond. Does your heart feel lighter? Does your energy rise? These sensations are clues pointing you toward meaningful engagement. Over time, you can build a personal toolkit of activities that reliably boost your well-being. Creating space for joy often means setting boundaries around your time and energy. Saying no to commitments that drain you is essential for protecting the time needed to nourish yourself. You deserve to prioritize activities that replenish your spirit without guilt or hesitation. When you consistently invest in joy, you communicate to yourself that your happiness matters. This reinforces self-worth and encourages you to maintain balance even during busy or stressful periods. Boundaries around joy are acts of kindness toward your future self. Engaging in joyful activities also strengthens your connection to the present moment. When you immerse yourself in something you love, your mind quiets and worries about past or future fade. This presence cultivates mindfulness, reducing stress and improving emotional regulation. Joy becomes a gateway to experiencing life fully, rather than merely surviving day to day. This deepened awareness enhances your capacity to appreciate simple pleasures and find gratitude in ordinary experiences. Joy is often linked to creativity, and investing time in creative pursuits can unlock new perspectives and problem-solving skills. Creativity invites you to express yourself authentically, releasing bottled-up emotions and fostering personal growth. Whether you write, paint, dance, or invent, these activities provide a safe space for exploration and healing. They remind you that your voice matters and that your unique contributions enrich the world. Nurturing creativity is a profound way to cultivate joy while building resilience. Social connections are another vital source of joy. Spending time with people who support and inspire you nourishes your emotional health. Investing in relationships where you feel safe and valued amplifies happiness and reduces feelings of loneliness. Quality time with friends or family can be a joyful activity in itself. Sharing laughter, stories, and experiences creates lasting memories that uplift your spirit. Remember to balance your social life with moments of solitude to recharge and reflect. Physical activity is also a powerful way to bring joy into your life. Movement releases endorphins and improves mood, energy, and overall health. Find forms of exercise that you enjoy, whether it's walking, swimming, yoga, or dancing. When movement feels like a celebration of what your body can do rather than a punishment, it becomes a joyful ritual. Regular physical activity increases your stamina to face daily challenges and supports mental clarity, making it easier to appreciate other joyful moments. Investing time in joy means being intentional about your daily schedule. Block out regular periods for activities that uplift you. Treat these appointments with the same respect you give to work meetings or obligations. Consistency builds a habit that integrates joy into your lifestyle rather than leaving it as an occasional treat. Over time, this steady nourishment creates a foundation of happiness that sustains you even in difficult times. It's natural to feel resistance or guilt when prioritizing joy, especially if you've been conditioned to equate productivity with worth. Challenging these beliefs is crucial for your well-being. Recognize that rest, pleasure, and play are not indulgences, but necessary parts of a healthy life. When you honor joy, you increase your capacity to contribute meaningfully to others and to the world. You become a more present, compassionate, and energized version of yourself. Joy also cultivates gratitude and optimism. When you engage in activities that bring you happiness, you create positive experiences that accumulate over time. These experiences remind you that life has goodness, even amidst difficulties. This perspective helps you maintain hope and resilience when facing setbacks. Joy isn't naive or superficial, it's a deliberate choice to notice and celebrate what is good now. To deepen your investment in joy, practice self-awareness regularly. Notice how different activities affect your mood and energy. Keep a journal or mental log of what brings you satisfaction and why. Use this information to refine your choices and prioritize what truly serves your happiness. This ongoing process strengthens your connection to your authentic self and enhances your ability to make decisions aligned with your well-being. Finally, remember that investing time in joy is a lifelong commitment to yourself. It requires patience, curiosity, and courage to keep exploring and evolving. Your needs and interests may change, and that's natural. Embrace this fluidity and allow joy to guide you toward growth and fulfillment. When you consistently choose joy, you build a life rooted in authenticity, resilience, and deep satisfaction. This investment is one of the most generous gifts you can give yourself. Chapter 12. Surround yourself with people who support growth. The people you spend your time with have a profound impact on your mindset, habits, and overall direction in life. Surrounding yourself with individuals who support your growth is one of the most intentional choices you can make to foster continuous improvement. These relationships become a foundation that uplifts you when you struggle, challenges you when you get comfortable, and inspires you to aim higher. When you choose to be around people who encourage your best self, you create an environment where progress feels natural and possible. Supportive people don't simply cheer from the sidelines, they actively contribute to your development. They listen without judgment, offer honest feedback, and celebrate your successes without envy. This kind of encouragement makes it easier to take risks and face obstacles because you know you have allies. In contrast, surrounding yourself with negative or stagnant individuals can drain your energy and keep you stuck in patterns of self-doubt or complacency. Your social circle shapes your beliefs about what's possible and what you deserve. Choosing to be around growth-minded people also means evaluating your current relationships honestly. Some friendships or associations may have served you in the past, but no longer align with where you want to go. It's okay to let go of connections that limit your potential or bring more harm than good. This doesn't mean cutting people off harshly. It means setting boundaries and prioritizing your well-being. Sometimes, the healthiest thing you can do is create space for new influences that inspire transformation. Growth-oriented people tend to have qualities that encourage your own development. They are curious and open-minded, always seeking knowledge and improvement. They practice empathy and understanding, creating safe spaces for vulnerability and honest conversations. They are resilient, modeling how to handle failure and setbacks with grace. These traits not only benefit their own lives, but also create a ripple effect that benefits those around them. When you immerse yourself in this kind of energy, it becomes easier to adopt similar attitudes and behaviors. Engaging with people who support growth also expands your perspective. They challenge your assumptions and invite you to consider new ideas. This intellectual and emotional stimulation prevents stagnation and encourages innovation in your life. You begin to see challenges as opportunities rather than threats. You become more willing to explore your potential because you have examples of others who are doing the same. This kind of network acts as a powerful motivator and resource. It's important to be proactive in building these supportive relationships. Sometimes growth-minded individuals aren't immediately present in your current environment. You may need to seek out communities, groups, or mentors that align with your values and goals. This could be through educational workshops, professional networks, online forums, or local interest groups. Taking the initiative to connect with people who inspire you demonstrates your commitment to your own growth. It signals that you are ready to be part of a community that elevates rather than limits you. Supporting others' growth is also a vital part of this dynamic. Relationships thrive when there is mutual encouragement and generosity. When you celebrate others' progress and offer your support, you strengthen the bonds and create a positive feedback loop. This reciprocity builds trust and deepens connections. It also reinforces your own commitment to growth, because you are actively engaged in a collective journey rather than a solitary one. Pay attention to how your social interactions affect your energy and mindset. After spending time with certain people, notice whether you feel inspired and uplifted or drained and doubtful. This awareness helps you make conscious choices about who to invest your time with. Energy is contagious, and choosing to engage with positive influences can transform how you approach your own challenges and opportunities. Sometimes growth-supportive relationships require vulnerability. Being open about your struggles, fears, and ambitions invites deeper connection and authenticity. It allows others to offer meaningful support rather than superficial encouragement. While vulnerability can feel risky, it is often the gateway to stronger, more supportive bonds. When you experience this kind of connection, you feel less alone in your journey and more empowered to continue pushing forward. It's also worth noting that the people you surround yourself with influence your habits and daily routines. Growth-minded individuals often have productive practices and positive mindsets that rub off on those around them. Being part of such a circle encourages you to adopt healthier habits, whether related to work, self-care, or learning. The shared commitment to improvement creates a culture of accountability and motivation that sustains long-term progress. Beware of relationships that bring negativity disguised as realism or tough love. While honest feedback is crucial, constant criticism or dismissal of your goals under the guise of protection can undermine your confidence. True supporters balance truth with encouragement. They help you see obstacles without losing sight of your potential. They push you to improve while reminding you to be patient and kind to yourself along the way. Building a circle of growth supporters does not mean isolating yourself from diverse perspectives. Different viewpoints can offer valuable lessons and challenge your comfort zone. The key is to maintain boundaries that protect your emotional and mental well-being. Engage with diverse ideas without allowing toxic influences to take root. Healthy relationships promote curiosity and respect, even in disagreement. Your commitment to surrounding yourself with growth-oriented people reflects your commitment to yourself. It's an act of self-care and strategic investment in your future. The company you keep shapes not only your opportunities but also how you see yourself. Being part of a community that believes in potential and transformation encourages you to believe in yourself. This sense of belonging and shared purpose becomes a powerful engine for sustained change. Finally, remember that you also have the power to be a source of growth for others. Your journey and progress can inspire those around you. By sharing your experiences, insights, and encouragement, you contribute to a culture of growth that benefits everyone involved. This mutual support creates a cycle of positive change that extends far beyond individual efforts. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, challenge you to grow, and celebrate your journey. Invest your time and energy in relationships that honor your path and inspire your best self. This intentional community becomes a cornerstone of your transformation and a vital source of strength on your way to becoming who you were meant to be. Chapter 13. Focus on progress rather than perfection always. The desire to be perfect can trap you in a cycle of frustration and self-doubt that stalls your growth and dims your confidence. Striving for perfection often sets impossible standards that leave you feeling like you never measure up. Instead, focusing on progress shifts your attention to the steps you take every day. No matter how small, that move you closer to your goals. This approach nurtures resilience and patience, helping you appreciate your efforts and build momentum. When you embrace progress rather than perfection, you create a sustainable path toward improvement without the weight of unrealistic expectations. Progress acknowledges that growth is a process, not a destination. It means recognizing that mistakes and setbacks are natural parts of learning, not signs of failure. This perspective allows you to be kinder to yourself and less afraid to try new things. When you focus on progress, you give yourself permission to be imperfect and to learn along the way. This freedom reduces anxiety and makes it easier to start, continue, and persist in your endeavors. Instead of being paralyzed by fear of making a wrong move, you become motivated by every step forward. Perfectionism often disguises itself as discipline or high standards, but it can quickly become a barrier. It encourages all or nothing thinking, where anything less than flawless feels like defeat. This mindset creates unnecessary pressure and robs you of the joy found in the journey. Progress, on the other hand, celebrates every effort and improvement, creating positive reinforcement that fuels further action. It allows you to break large goals into manageable pieces and feel accomplished regularly, which boosts your confidence and self-efficacy. Focusing on progress helps you maintain realistic expectations. Life is unpredictable, and circumstances don't always align perfectly. Holding yourself to a rigid standard ignores the reality of setbacks, distractions, and limits. Progress embraces flexibility and adaptability. It invites you to adjust your plans without feeling like you've failed. This mindset encourages perseverance because it values consistency over perfection. When you accept that progress is a series of steps rather than a straight line, you develop patience and long-term commitment. One practical way to focus on progress is by setting small, measurable goals. These mini-goals act as checkpoints that let you see tangible results. Each time you meet one, it confirms that you are moving forward, which strengthens your motivation. Tracking your progress visually, such as with a journal or chart, can make these achievements more concrete. It's easier to stay motivated when you can see how far you've come, instead of only imagining a distant ideal. Celebrate your efforts and improvements regularly. Acknowledging progress builds positive habits and rewires your brain to seek growth. This practice reduces the tendency to dwell on imperfections or shortcomings. When you recognize and reward progress, you reinforce your belief in your ability to change and improve. Over time, this positive feedback loop fosters resilience and optimism, making challenges easier to face and setbacks easier to recover from. It's important to remember that progress isn't always visible or dramatic. Sometimes it's a quiet shift in mindset, a subtle change in behavior, or a small act of courage. These moments are just as valuable as major milestones. Appreciating incremental improvements cultivates a sense of achievement that sustains your drive. It teaches you to value effort and persistence, which are the true engines of growth. Comparing your journey to others can undermine your focus on progress. Social media and external appearances often highlight perfection rather than the behind-the-scenes work. When you compare yourself to an idealized version of someone else, you risk feeling inadequate and discouraged. Instead, measure your progress against your own past self. Reflect on where you were before and recognize the growth you've made. This internal benchmark keeps you grounded and motivated. Another benefit of prioritizing progress is that it fosters learning and experimentation. When perfection is the goal, you may avoid trying new approaches for fear of failure. Progress invites curiosity and innovation. It encourages you to explore different strategies, learn from mistakes, and adapt your methods. This mindset transforms setbacks into valuable lessons rather than proof of incompetence. With progress as your focus, you develop a growth-oriented outlook that embraces challenges and thrives on continuous improvement. Focusing on progress also nurtures self-compassion. You become less critical and more understanding toward yourself. When you slip up or fall short, you don't see it as a personal flaw but as a normal part of the journey. This gentleness fosters emotional resilience and reduces stress. It creates a healthier relationship with yourself, where mistakes become opportunities for reflection rather than triggers for shame. Self-compassion supports sustainable growth by encouraging persistence rather than perfection. To maintain focus on progress, practice mindfulness and self-awareness. Notice when your thoughts drift toward perfectionism or negative self-talk. Challenge those thoughts by reminding yourself of the value of small improvements. Ask yourself what you learned from the experience rather than what went wrong. This shift in perspective helps you stay grounded in the present moment and aligned with your growth goals. Mindfulness trains you to respond with curiosity and kindness instead of judgment. Setting intentions at the start of each day or week can help keep your focus on progress. Declare what you want to improve or accomplish, emphasizing effort and learning over flawless execution. Revisit these intentions regularly to track your progress and adjust as needed. This habit creates a rhythm of reflection and action that supports steady advancement. Intentionality strengthens your commitment to growth and reduces distractions caused by perfectionist tendencies. Surrounding yourself with people who value progress can reinforce this mindset. Seek out relationships and communities that celebrate effort and resilience rather than perfection. These environments provide encouragement, accountability, and inspiration. When others share their own struggles and growth, it normalizes imperfection and motivates you to keep moving forward. Social support is a powerful factor in sustaining a focus on progress. It's essential to redefine success in terms of growth rather than achievement. Success is not a fixed point or a flawless outcome. It's the continuous effort to become better. This redefinition frees you from unrealistic standards and opens the door to genuine fulfillment. When success is measured by progress, you acknowledge that every step, no matter how small, is meaningful. This mindset transforms your relationship with your goals and your sense of self-worth. In the end, focusing on progress rather than perfection creates a more enjoyable and sustainable path to growth. It allows you to celebrate the journey, build confidence, and cultivate resilience. This approach acknowledges your humanity and embraces your potential. When you commit to progress, you empower yourself to keep evolving, learning and thriving, no matter the challenges you face. Chapter 14. Learn to say no and honor your limits. Saying no is a skill that many find difficult to master because it feels like rejecting others or risking disappointment. However, learning to say no and honor your limits is essential for preserving your energy, maintaining mental clarity, and protecting your well-being. Boundaries are not selfish walls, but vital lines that keep you aligned with your values and priorities. When you respect your limits and communicate them clearly, you create space for what truly matters and avoid overcommitment that leads to stress and exhaustion. Recognizing your limits requires honest self-awareness. It means paying close attention to your physical, emotional, and mental state without judgment. When you notice signs of fatigue, overwhelm, or discomfort, it's a signal that your limits are being tested. Respecting these signals helps prevent burnout and keeps you operating at your best. This awareness is the foundation for confidently saying no when something does not serve your well-being or goals. Saying no is an act of self-respect and self-care. It's a way of telling yourself and others that your time and energy have value. You do not have to explain or justify your boundaries extensively. A simple and firm no is enough to maintain your integrity and protect your space. When you practice this regularly, it builds your confidence and makes it easier to stand up for yourself in various situations. Many people struggle with guilt when saying no because they worry about letting others down or missing opportunities. This guilt often stems from cultural or personal beliefs that equate kindness with compliance. True kindness includes honesty and care for yourself. Saying no does not mean you are uncaring. It means you are preserving your ability to contribute authentically and sustainably. When you honor your limits, you show up as your best self, which ultimately benefits everyone around you. Setting boundaries also means being clear about what you can and cannot take on. It's helpful to define your limits proactively so you are not caught off guard by requests or demands. This clarity allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. When you communicate your boundaries with respect and assertiveness, you reduce misunderstandings and build healthier relationships. Others learn to respect your limits and appreciate your honesty. Learning to say no involves practicing direct and kind communication. Avoid over-apologizing or making excuses that dilute your message. Instead, express your decision clearly and calmly. For example, saying, "I can't take this on right now," is straightforward and respectful. You can also offer alternatives or suggest a different time if appropriate. This approach shows that you are thoughtful but firm about your boundaries. Honoring your limits is not just about refusing others. It also means saying yes to yourself. When you decline external demands, you free up time and energy to focus on your needs and priorities. This might include rest, creative pursuits, or activities that nurture your growth. Saying no creates room for what aligns with your values and aspirations. It supports a balanced life where you feel in control rather than overwhelmed. It's important to remember that limits are personal and can change over time. What feels manageable today might not be the same tomorrow, and that's okay. Regularly reassess your boundaries to ensure they reflect your current reality. Flexibility within limits allows you to grow while maintaining your well-being. Being in tune with your evolving needs helps you set boundaries that support your long-term health and success. Respecting your limits also includes monitoring your inner dialogue. Notice if you criticize yourself for saying no or pushing beyond your capacity. Replace harsh judgments with compassionate reminders that your limits are valid and necessary. This mindset shift fosters self-acceptance and strengthens your resolve to protect your boundaries. When you treat yourself with kindness, you build resilience and sustain your commitment to healthy limits. Learning to say no and honor your limits protects you from burnout and resentment. When you overextend yourself, you risk becoming exhausted and bitter, which affects your relationships and productivity. Boundaries help you maintain balance and clarity, making it easier to focus on what truly matters. They create a sustainable rhythm of giving and receiving that supports your well-being and personal growth. Practicing this skill can be challenging at first because it requires courage and sometimes facing pushback. Some people may resist your boundaries or try to guilt you into saying yes. Stay firm and remind yourself that your limits are non-negotiable. Seek support from people who respect your boundaries and encourage your growth. Over time, your consistent practice of saying no will earn respect and improve your overall quality of life. To strengthen your ability to say no, role-play scenarios where you practice declining requests. This rehearsal builds confidence and helps you find words that feel authentic and respectful. You can also prepare responses for common situations, making it easier to respond without hesitation. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes to honor your limits without anxiety or guilt. Reflecting on past experiences where you said yes when you wanted to say no can provide valuable insights. Consider how those decisions affected your energy, mood, and outcomes. Use these reflections to motivate yourself to set firmer boundaries in the future. Learning from experience is a powerful tool for developing healthier habits around saying no. Embracing your limits and saying no when needed is a form of empowerment. It demonstrates that you are the steward of your life and well-being. This empowerment leads to greater clarity, focus, and satisfaction. When you prioritize your health and values through boundaries, you create a strong foundation for personal growth and meaningful relationships. Ultimately, learning to say no and honor your limits is an essential step toward loving yourself more than anyone else. It is a practice of self-respect that protects your energy, nurtures your mental and emotional health, and enables you to live authentically. Chapter 15. Use setbacks as lessons to grow stronger. Setbacks are an inevitable part of life, yet they often feel like personal failures or dead ends. Viewing them through the lens of growth transforms these challenges into powerful opportunities for learning and resilience. Instead of letting setbacks discourage or define you, using them as lessons creates a mindset that embraces struggle as an essential step toward strength. This perspective shifts your focus from what went wrong to what can be gained, fostering a spirit of perseverance that builds character and fuels progress. The first step in turning setbacks into lessons is acknowledging the reality of the situation without denial or self-blame. It's natural to feel frustration or disappointment, but these emotions should not overwhelm your ability to reflect objectively. Accepting what happened allows you to assess the circumstances clearly and identify factors within your control. This honesty lays the groundwork for constructive action rather than reactive despair. Every setback contains valuable information about your strategies, decisions, or external conditions. Taking time to analyze what led to the outcome helps you uncover insights that might otherwise go unnoticed. Were there assumptions that didn't hold up? Did certain behaviors or habits contribute? Were external factors underestimated? Answering these questions with curiosity rather than judgment opens the door to meaningful learning. This process transforms a painful experience into a practical guide for future choices. Reflection alone isn't enough. Applying the lessons learned is crucial for growth. Use your insights to adjust your approach, refine your goals, or develop new skills. This active response demonstrates resilience because it requires adapting and moving forward despite difficulties. Growth through setbacks demands patience and persistence, as progress may be gradual. Each attempt informed by past experience brings you closer to success. Resilience is strengthened when you view setbacks as temporary obstacles rather than permanent failures. This outlook keeps you motivated and hopeful even when progress stalls. Remember that setbacks do not erase your worth or potential. They are part of the process that every person faces on the path to achievement. Recognizing this universality reduces feelings of isolation and encourages a growth mindset. It's important to cultivate emotional awareness during setbacks. Allow yourself to experience disappointment, sadness, or anger, but avoid letting these feelings dictate your narrative. Practicing emotional regulation helps you stay balanced and prevents reactive decisions driven by pain or frustration. Techniques like mindful breathing, journaling, or talking with trusted individuals can support this emotional processing. Managing emotions effectively creates space for clear thinking and proactive problem solving. Seeking feedback from others can also enhance your learning from setbacks. Trusted mentors, friends, or colleagues may offer perspectives you hadn't considered. They can help you see blind spots and suggest alternative approaches. Constructive feedback complements your self-reflection and broadens your understanding. Being open to input is a sign of strength and a willingness to grow beyond your current limitations. Viewing setbacks as growth opportunities cultivates humility. It reminds you that no matter how skilled or knowledgeable you are, there is always room to learn. This humility fosters a beginner's mindset, where curiosity and openness replace defensiveness. It encourages you to embrace challenges with courage, rather than avoidance. This mindset not only accelerates growth, but also builds deeper self-awareness and wisdom. Resilience built through setbacks equips you to handle future difficulties with greater ease. Each challenge you overcome adds to your inner resources of strength, patience, and adaptability. You learn that failure is not a reflection of your identity but a stepping stone on your journey. This confidence in your ability to bounce back supports sustained motivation and persistence. Using setbacks as lessons also enhances problem-solving skills. You become more skilled at identifying obstacles early and devising creative solutions. This proactive stance reduces the likelihood of repeated mistakes and accelerates your progress. With experience, you develop a mental framework for approaching challenges that balances analysis with action. It is essential to celebrate the growth that comes from setbacks. Acknowledge your courage in facing difficulties and your commitment to learning. Recognizing these achievements reinforces positive habits and encourages you to keep moving forward. This celebration builds a resilient mindset that values effort and progress over perfection. Avoiding blame or self-criticism during setbacks is critical for maintaining motivation. Harsh judgment drains energy and creates barriers to learning. Instead, treat yourself with kindness and understanding, as you would a close friend facing similar challenges. Self-compassion supports emotional healing and reinforces your commitment to growth. Sometimes setbacks reveal deeper areas for growth beyond the immediate issue. They can highlight limiting beliefs, fears, or unresolved patterns that need attention. Use these moments as invitations for deeper self-exploration and healing. Addressing root causes strengthens your foundation for long-term success and well-being. Keep a growth journal to document setbacks, insights, and progress. Writing helps organize your thoughts and track patterns over time. It also serves as a motivational tool when you review how far you've come, despite challenges. This record becomes a tangible reminder of your resilience and ability to learn from adversity. Surrounding yourself with supportive people during setbacks can make a significant difference. Encouragement and perspective from others provide emotional strength and practical guidance. Community fosters a sense of belonging that reduces isolation and builds collective resilience. Incorporate daily habits that reinforce your growth mindset. Affirmations, visualization, and mindfulness practices keep your focus on progress and learning. These habits help you stay grounded and motivated even when faced with setbacks. Understand that setbacks are part of every success story. The most accomplished people have faced repeated failures and used them as fuel for growth. Their persistence and ability to learn from mistakes distinguish them from those who give up. Embracing this truth empowers you to persevere and continue striving toward your goals. Ultimately, using setbacks as lessons transforms obstacles into opportunities. It changes your relationship with failure and uncertainty. This transformation empowers you to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient with every challenge you face. Committing to this mindset unlocks your potential for continuous self-improvement and lasting success. Chapter 16. Speak kindly to yourself in moments of doubt. When doubt creeps in, it often brings harsh and critical thoughts that shake your confidence and cloud your judgment. Speaking kindly to yourself during these moments is a powerful tool that restores calm and reinforces your inner strength. It means replacing self-criticism with compassion and understanding, creating a mental environment where you can navigate uncertainty with grace instead of fear. This gentle inner voice acts like a trusted friend, encouraging you to keep moving forward even when the path feels unclear or challenging. Doubt is a natural human experience. Everyone encounters moments when they question their abilities, decisions, or worth. These moments are not signs of weakness, but opportunities to practice self-kindness. Instead of fighting or ignoring doubt, acknowledging it with a gentle tone reduces its power. You create space to explore what the doubt is really about and address it constructively. This approach transforms doubt from a barrier into a signal for self-reflection and growth. Speaking kindly to yourself begins with awareness. Notice when your inner dialogue turns negative or judgmental. Pay attention to the specific words or phrases you use in these moments. Are you calling yourself names, predicting failure, or doubting your potential? Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward changing them. Once you identify harmful thoughts, consciously replace them with kind and encouraging statements. This practice rewires your brain over time, making positive self-talk your default response. Kind self-talk is honest but nurturing. It acknowledges the difficulty you are facing without exaggerating or minimizing it. For example, instead of saying, "I can't do this," say, "This is challenging, but I am capable of figuring it out." This shift changes your mindset from defeat to possibility. It builds resilience by reminding you of your strengths and past successes. Kind words reinforce your ability to cope and grow. Creating a list of supportive phrases can be a helpful tool. Phrases like, "I am enough," "I am learning and growing," or "I trust myself to handle this," serve as anchors when doubt arises. Repeating these affirmations during difficult times strengthens your self-belief. You can also write them down and place them where you see them often, such as your mirror or workspace, to remind yourself daily of your inner kindness. Physical cues can support kind self-talk as well. When you feel doubt, take a deep breath and soften your facial expression. This simple act signals your body to relax and aligns with your compassionate inner voice. Combining mindful breathing with positive statements creates a powerful practice that calms anxiety and restores focus. Remember that self-kindness is not about ignoring reality or avoiding responsibility. It's about treating yourself with the same care and respect you would offer to a close friend in need. When a friend doubts themselves, you wouldn't respond with harsh criticism, you would offer encouragement and understanding. Giving yourself this same kindness nurtures your emotional health and promotes balanced decision-making. In moments of doubt, reflect on your achievements and qualities that have helped you overcome past challenges. Remind yourself of times you succeeded despite uncertainty. This reflection builds confidence and counters the negative narrative doubt can create. It shifts your focus from what could go wrong to what you have already accomplished and learned. Silencing the inner critic requires patience and persistence. Changing lifelong thought patterns takes time. You might notice that the negative voice returns often. But each time you respond with kindness, you weaken its hold. Over time, the positive voice grows stronger, and your self-esteem increases. This ongoing effort is an investment in your mental and emotional resilience. Avoid comparing yourself to others during moments of doubt. Comparison often fuels harsh judgments and feelings of inadequacy. Instead, focus on your unique journey and progress. Celebrate your individual strengths and acknowledge the courage it takes to face uncertainty. Embracing your own path builds a foundation of self-trust and kindness. Practice self-compassion by forgiving yourself for mistakes or perceived shortcomings. Doubt frequently stems from perfectionism or fear of failure. When you slip up or fall short, speak to yourself with understanding rather than blame. Recognize that errors are part of growth and do not diminish your worth. This forgiveness frees you from the paralysis of self-criticism and encourages continued effort. Building a daily routine that includes moments of self-kindness reinforces this habit. Set aside time for reflection, meditation, or journaling focused on positive self-talk. These practices deepen your connection to yourself and strengthen your inner support system. Consistency cultivates a mindset that responds to doubt with kindness automatically. Surround yourself with people who model kind communication and support your growth. Positive social environments encourage you to speak kindly to yourself by reflecting similar attitudes. When others express empathy and encouragement, it becomes easier to internalize those qualities. Community plays a vital role in shaping your self-talk patterns. In challenging moments, focus on what you can control and release what you cannot. Doubt often arises when faced with uncertainty or external factors beyond your influence. Redirecting your attention to your actions and mindset empowers you to respond constructively. Kind self-talk affirms your ability to navigate difficulties without getting overwhelmed. Recognize that self-kindness improves your overall well-being. Negative self-talk contributes to stress, anxiety, and depression, while positive self-talk enhances mood and motivation. Speaking kindly to yourself in doubt supports mental health by reducing the impact of harmful thoughts. This practice creates a more balanced emotional state conducive to growth and happiness. Celebrate your progress in cultivating kind self-talk. Each moment you respond to doubt with compassion strengthens your resilience. Acknowledge the courage it takes to change your inner dialogue and commit to ongoing practice. This celebration reinforces your dedication to loving yourself more deeply. Ultimately, speaking kindly to yourself during moments of doubt is a transformative practice. It shifts your relationship with uncertainty and nurtures your inner strength. Through gentle, honest, and supportive self-talk, you build confidence and resilience that sustain your growth. This habit becomes a foundation for navigating life's challenges with grace and self-respect. Chapter 17. Create a daily ritual that centers your spirit. Creating a daily ritual that centers your spirit is one of the most profound ways to nurture your well-being and strengthen your connection to yourself. A ritual is more than a routine. It's a deliberate practice that grounds you, restores balance, and aligns your energy with your intentions. When life's demands feel overwhelming, a consistent ritual becomes a sanctuary that refreshes your mind, body, and soul. This practice cultivates presence, clarity, and peace, empowering you to face each day with resilience and purpose. The first step in creating a ritual is to understand what centers you personally. Centering involves feeling grounded and calm amid life's fluctuations. It can take many forms depending on your preferences and needs. Some find it in quiet meditation, others in gentle movement or breathwork. The key is choosing activities that resonate deeply and bring a sense of calm and focus. This personal connection ensures your ritual feels meaningful and sustainable. Consistency is the foundation of a powerful ritual. Engaging in your chosen practice daily, even briefly, builds momentum and transforms it from a task into a cherished habit. This regularity trains your mind and body to enter a centered state more easily. Over time, your ritual becomes a reliable source of stability and renewal. No matter what challenges arise, the predictability of this moment offers comfort and reassurance. Begin with setting a specific time and place for your ritual. Designate a quiet corner or space where distractions are minimal. This physical environment signals to your brain that it's time to slow down and turn inward. Establishing a routine schedule, such as first thing in the morning or before bed, helps anchor the ritual in your daily life. Treat this time as non-negotiable, a sacred appointment with yourself that honors your need for balance. Start your ritual with a simple practice to transition from the noise of daily life to a state of centered awareness. This might be mindful breathing, focusing fully on your inhale and exhale. Breath is a powerful tool that instantly calms the nervous system and grounds your attention in the present moment. Taking slow, deep breaths resets your energy and prepares you for deeper connection. Incorporate elements that nourish your spirit and invite reflection. Journaling is an excellent way to express gratitude, clarify intentions, or release worries. Writing by hand allows your thoughts to flow freely and helps you process emotions. You can use prompts such as, "What am I grateful for today?" or "What do I want to focus on?" These questions cultivate awareness and set a positive tone for the day ahead. Movement is another valuable component of a centering ritual. Gentle stretching, yoga, or walking mindfully connects you with your body and promotes circulation and relaxation. Moving slowly with intention encourages mindfulness and helps release tension stored physically and mentally. This physical presence enhances your sense of being grounded and alive. Visualization can deepen your ritual by engaging your imagination in a purposeful way. Picture yourself embodying calm, confidence, or any quality you wish to strengthen. Visualize your goals and the steps you will take to achieve them. This mental rehearsal primes your subconscious mind for success and aligns your energy with your desires. Incorporating affirmations strengthens your ritual by reinforcing positive beliefs. Choose statements that resonate with your values and growth goals, such as, "I am centered and capable," or "I welcome peace and clarity." Repeat these affirmations aloud or silently with intention. This practice rewires your brain to focus on empowering thoughts and diminishes self-doubt. Creating space for silence and stillness within your ritual allows you to listen deeply to your inner voice. This quiet moment fosters intuition and self-awareness. It's a chance to observe your thoughts without judgment and connect with a sense of inner calm. Regularly engaging in silence cultivates mental clarity and emotional balance. Lighting a candle, burning incense, or playing calming music can enhance the sensory experience of your ritual. These sensory cues deepen relaxation and make the practice more enjoyable. Associating these elements with your ritual conditions your mind to enter a centered state more quickly and fully. Ending your ritual with a moment of gratitude anchors the practice in appreciation. Reflect on what you have experienced during the ritual and express thanks for the time and space you created for yourself. Gratitude shifts your mindset toward positivity and abundance, setting a constructive tone for the rest of your day. Flexibility is important in maintaining your ritual over time. Life circumstances may change, and your needs may evolve. Adapt your ritual by incorporating new practices or adjusting the duration to fit your current situation. This openness ensures the ritual remains relevant and supportive, rather than becoming a rigid obligation. Tracking your ritual practice can encourage commitment and provide insight into its impact. Use a journal or habit tracker to note when you complete your ritual and any changes you observe in your mood or energy. Seeing patterns of consistency and benefits reinforces your motivation to keep going. Sharing your ritual intentions with supportive people can deepen your commitment. When others understand the importance of your practice, they are more likely to respect your time and space. You might also find inspiration from others' rituals or form a community around shared practices, enhancing your sense of connection. A daily ritual that centers your spirit acts as an anchor during turbulent times. It cultivates resilience by providing a reliable way to reset and restore your balance. This grounding supports better decision-making, emotional regulation, and overall well-being. You become more capable of navigating stress without losing touch with your core. Over time, your ritual strengthens your relationship with yourself. It becomes a form of self-love, a daily reminder that your inner peace matters. This consistent care nurtures confidence and self-respect. You learn to prioritize your needs and honor your journey with compassion. Creating this sacred time for yourself invites a deeper sense of meaning and purpose into everyday life. It helps you move beyond reacting to circumstances and toward intentional living. Centering rituals cultivate mindfulness, enabling you to respond to challenges with calm clarity instead of impulsive reactions. The cumulative effect of a daily ritual ripples through all areas of your life. Improved focus, reduced stress, and enhanced emotional balance translate into better relationships, productivity, and joy. This practice becomes a cornerstone of personal growth, providing a foundation from which you can thrive. Ultimately, a daily ritual that centers your spirit is a gift you give yourself. It honors your humanity and supports your evolution. By committing to this practice, you create a steady source of peace and strength that carries you through life's ups and downs. This ritual grounds you in your true self and empowers you to live with intention and grace. Chapter 18. Visualize your best self and work toward it. Visualizing your best self is a transformative practice that shapes your mindset and fuels your progress toward meaningful growth. This process begins with a clear and honest picture of who you want to become, your values, strengths, and the qualities you aspire to embody. By regularly imagining this version of yourself, you create a mental blueprint that guides your actions and decisions. Visualization bridges the gap between your current reality and your potential, providing motivation and clarity on the path ahead. Start by imagining your best self in vivid detail. Picture how this version of you thinks, acts, and feels. Consider how you respond to challenges with confidence and resilience. Envision your daily habits, the way you treat others, and the energy you carry. The clearer and more detailed this image is, the more powerful it becomes. This mental rehearsal prepares your brain to align with your goals and adopt new behaviors naturally. Visualization works because the brain cannot fully distinguish between real and imagined experiences. When you vividly picture yourself succeeding or embodying desired traits, your brain activates the same neural pathways as if you were actually doing those things. This rewiring strengthens your belief in your potential and creates a positive feedback loop that encourages real-world effort. Over time, your mental image becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Consistency in visualization is key. Set aside time each day to focus on this practice, ideally during moments of calm or meditation. Close your eyes and immerse yourself in the experience. Feel the emotions associated with being your best self: pride, joy, calm, and determination. Engaging your senses makes the visualization more tangible and impactful. The more often you connect with this vision, the stronger your commitment to actualizing it. Alongside visualization, set concrete, achievable goals that reflect your best self. Break down larger aspirations into manageable steps to avoid feeling overwhelmed. These goals act as markers that track your progress and keep you focused. Working steadily toward them reinforces the belief that your vision is attainable and grounds your aspirations in reality. Accountability enhances the power of visualization. Share your vision and goals with trusted friends, mentors, or coaches who encourage and support your journey. Discussing your progress and challenges provides motivation and constructive feedback. External support reinforces your internal commitment and reminds you that growth is a collective process. Visualization also helps identify internal obstacles that might hinder your progress. As you imagine your best self, notice any resistance or limiting beliefs that arise. These mental barriers often show up as doubts or fears within the vision. Acknowledge these feelings without judgment and explore their origins. Addressing these blocks through self-reflection or professional support clears the way for transformation. Using visualization as a tool to anticipate challenges equips you to handle difficulties with composure. Imagine yourself responding to setbacks calmly and effectively, maintaining focus on your goals. Preparing mentally for obstacles reduces anxiety and increases resilience. This proactive approach builds confidence in your ability to navigate uncertainty. Integrate visualization with positive affirmations to strengthen your mindset. Affirm statements that reflect your vision, such as "I am capable," "I embrace growth," or "I am becoming my best self." Repeating these affirmations during visualization reinforces your beliefs and counters negative self-talk. This combination creates a powerful mental environment that supports sustained effort. Physical reminders can support your visualization practice. Create vision boards, write goals in journals, or place inspiring images where you see them daily. These tangible cues keep your best self in focus throughout the day and prompt you to act in alignment with your vision. Surrounding yourself with positive reinforcement strengthens your commitment. Celebrate progress, no matter how small, as you work toward your best self. Recognizing achievements boosts motivation and validates your efforts. It also shifts your mindset from scarcity to abundance, reinforcing that growth is continuous and cumulative. This recognition nurtures patience and persistence, essential qualities for lasting change. Avoid perfectionism by embracing the journey rather than fixating on an ideal endpoint. Your best self evolves with experience and learning. Allow room for mistakes and growth without harsh judgment. This flexibility encourages experimentation and resilience, reducing fear of failure that can stall progress. Reflect regularly on your visualization practice and goals. Adjust your vision as you gain new insights and develop further. This adaptability ensures your path remains relevant and inspiring. Staying connected to your evolving best self keeps you motivated and engaged. Visualizing your best self nurtures self-compassion. It reminds you that growth is a process filled with both strengths and imperfections. This awareness fosters acceptance and kindness toward yourself. Self-compassion fuels sustained effort by reducing burnout and discouragement. Use visualization to cultivate gratitude for your current strengths and accomplishments. Recognize how far you have come while holding space for future growth. This balanced perspective nurtures humility and optimism, grounding your vision in reality. Ultimately, visualizing your best self and working toward it creates a dynamic roadmap for transformation. It empowers you to take deliberate steps, overcome obstacles, and align your life with your highest values. Through this practice, you become an active participant in your growth, shaping your identity and future with intention and clarity. This commitment to self-evolution unlocks your full potential and leads to a fulfilling, purpose-driven life. Chapter 19. Prioritize self-care without feeling selfish or weak. Taking care of yourself is essential, yet many struggle with the idea that prioritizing self-care is selfish or a sign of weakness. This mindset needs to change because caring for yourself lays the foundation for all other aspects of life. When you nurture your body, mind, and emotions, you strengthen your ability to face challenges, support others, and pursue your goals. Understanding that self-care is a vital act of responsibility rather than indulgence is key to living a balanced and fulfilled life. Self-care means recognizing your needs and giving them attention without guilt. It involves setting aside time and resources to nourish yourself physically, emotionally, and mentally. This practice is not about escaping responsibilities, but about restoring the energy and clarity necessary to handle them effectively. Prioritizing your well-being equips you with the resilience and strength needed to contribute meaningfully in all areas of life. Many people feel hesitant to engage in self-care because they worry about being perceived as selfish or weak. This belief often stems from societal expectations or past experiences that glorify self-sacrifice and constant productivity. Challenging these ideas requires a shift in perspective. Caring for yourself is a courageous choice that demonstrates self-respect and wisdom. It is the foundation of true strength, not a sign of failure or inadequacy. Start by identifying specific self-care activities that recharge and nurture you. These can be simple daily habits like getting enough sleep, eating nourishing food, or taking breaks to rest. Emotional self-care might include journaling, meditation, or spending time in nature. Mental self-care could involve learning something new, setting boundaries, or engaging in creative pursuits. Recognizing these needs clearly helps you make deliberate choices to meet them. Establishing a self-care routine creates consistency and reinforces your commitment to yourself. This routine should be realistic and tailored to your lifestyle. It's better to start small and build gradually than to overwhelm yourself with unrealistic expectations. Regular practice, no matter how brief, accumulates benefits that improve your overall well-being. Setting boundaries is a crucial aspect of self-care. Learning to say no when demands exceed your capacity protects your energy and prevents burnout. Boundaries are acts of self-respect that honor your limits and priorities. Communicating them clearly and kindly allows you to maintain balance and prevents resentment from building up. Self-care also means being mindful of your inner dialogue. Treat yourself with kindness and understanding, especially during stressful times. Negative self-talk drains your energy and undermines your efforts. Affirmations and compassionate self-talk reinforce your worthiness and motivate you to continue prioritizing your well-being. Remember that self-care benefits those around you as well. When you are healthy and balanced, you can give more fully and authentically to others. Neglecting your needs often leads to exhaustion and decreased ability to support loved ones or perform effectively at work. Viewing self-care as a service to both yourself and others helps dissolve feelings of selfishness. Physical activity is a powerful form of self-care. Movement releases tension, boosts mood, and improves health. Choose activities you enjoy to make this practice sustainable. Whether it's walking, dancing, yoga, or sports, regular exercise strengthens your body and mind, enhancing your overall resilience. Sleep is another critical pillar of self-care. Prioritize sufficient rest to support cognitive function, emotional regulation, and physical recovery. Establishing a consistent sleep schedule and creating a calming bedtime routine improves sleep quality. Recognize that rest is not laziness, but a necessary process for renewal. Nutrition plays a vital role in self-care. Nourishing your body with balanced meals fuels your energy and supports mental clarity. Mindful eating practices help you connect with your body's signals and develop a healthier relationship with food. Avoiding extreme diets or guilt around eating promotes sustainable habits. Taking breaks during the day refreshes your focus and prevents overwhelm. Even brief pauses for deep breathing or stretching can reduce stress and increase productivity. Incorporate regular intervals of rest to maintain balance and prevent burnout. Emotional self-care involves acknowledging and expressing your feelings authentically. Seek support when needed, whether through trusted friends, therapists, or support groups. Sharing your experiences relieves emotional burdens and fosters connection. Don't hesitate to ask for help. It is a strength, not a weakness. Engage in activities that bring joy and relaxation. Hobbies, creative pursuits, or simply spending time in nature replenish your spirit. Prioritize these moments as essential, not optional. They restore your sense of playfulness and wonder, contributing to a positive mindset. Mindfulness and meditation practices cultivate present moment awareness and reduce stress. These techniques improve emotional regulation and increase self-compassion. Regular practice enhances your ability to respond calmly to challenges and maintain inner peace. Avoid comparing your self-care practices to others. Everyone's needs and circumstances are unique. Focus on what works best for you and adjust as necessary. Personalizing your self-care ensures it remains effective and meaningful. Forgive yourself for times when self-care is neglected. Life's demands can make consistent care challenging. Rather than dwelling on lapses, recommit to your well-being with kindness. Each moment is an opportunity to start anew. Recognize that self-care is a lifelong journey, not a destination. Your needs will evolve over time, requiring ongoing attention and adaptation. Embrace this process as a form of continuous self-love and growth. Celebrate the positive changes self-care brings to your life. Notice improvements in energy, mood, relationships, and productivity. Acknowledge your dedication to yourself and the courage it takes to prioritize your needs. Ultimately, prioritizing self-care without guilt or hesitation is an act of empowerment. It honors your inherent worth and equips you to live fully and authentically. Embracing self-care nurtures resilience, balance, and joy, enabling you to navigate life's challenges with strength and grace. This commitment to yourself is a profound expression of love that supports your growth and well-being every day. Chapter 20. Commit fully to loving yourself through challenges. Loving yourself fully, especially during difficult times, is one of the most powerful commitments you can make. Life's challenges will test your resolve and your sense of self, but staying dedicated to self-love through these moments builds deep resilience and inner strength. It is a conscious decision to honor your worth regardless of external circumstances or internal struggles. This unwavering commitment becomes a foundation from which you can navigate hardships with grace and courage. When faced with adversity, it is easy to fall into self-criticism or doubt. The instinct to blame yourself or feel unworthy often grows louder during stressful periods. Yet, choosing to love yourself fully means consciously rejecting these negative voices. Instead, approach yourself with compassion and understanding. Acknowledge your pain without judgment, recognizing that struggle is part of the human experience, not a reflection of your value. Loving yourself through challenges means embracing vulnerability without shame. It requires accepting your imperfections and limitations while still believing in your potential. Vulnerability opens the door to authenticity, allowing you to connect with your feelings honestly and deeply. This honesty is not a weakness, but a courageous act of self-awareness and acceptance. Commitment to self-love also means practicing patience. Growth and healing do not happen overnight. When setbacks occur, remind yourself that progress includes ups and downs. Patience allows you to maintain hope and keep moving forward even when the path is unclear or difficult. It softens frustration and supports perseverance. Developing a daily practice of self-compassion strengthens this commitment. Simple acts such as speaking kindly to yourself, pausing to breathe deeply during moments of stress, or journaling about your experiences nurture your emotional well-being. These practices reinforce your sense of worth and provide comfort when you feel overwhelmed. It is important to remember that self-love during challenges is not about denying reality or avoiding responsibility. Rather, it is about holding space for yourself with kindness while taking active steps to improve your situation. This balanced approach fosters empowerment and accountability, creating a healthy foundation for growth. Surround yourself with supportive people who encourage your journey of self-love. Trusted friends, family or mentors provide affirmation and perspective when your confidence wavers. Their encouragement reminds you that you are not alone and that your worth is seen and valued. Community is a vital source of strength during tough times. Set realistic expectations for yourself. Avoid the trap of perfectionism, which can fuel self-judgment and disappointment. Recognize your efforts and small victories as meaningful progress. Celebrate the courage it takes to keep loving yourself despite setbacks. This positive reinforcement builds momentum and resilience. Mindfulness is a useful tool in maintaining self-love during adversity. Observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment helps you detach from negative narratives. This awareness allows you to choose how to respond rather than react impulsively. Mindfulness creates a space of calm and clarity where self-love can flourish. When negative thoughts arise, challenge them with evidence of your strengths and achievements. Reframe mistakes as opportunities for learning rather than proof of failure. This shift in perspective nurtures optimism and reinforces your commitment to growth. Over time, positive self-perception becomes habitual. Taking care of your physical health supports your emotional resilience. Prioritize restful sleep, nourishing food, and movement to maintain energy and balance. Physical well-being and self-love are interconnected. Caring for your body signals respect and appreciation for yourself. Engage in activities that bring you joy and restore your spirit. Creative outlets, hobbies, or time in nature provide relief from stress and reconnect you to your passions. These experiences remind you of your worth beyond challenges and responsibilities. Practice forgiveness toward yourself. Holding on to guilt or regret drains energy and undermines self-love. Release past mistakes with compassion, understanding that growth involves imperfection. Forgiveness frees you to focus on the present and future with a lighter heart. Visualize yourself overcoming obstacles and embodying resilience. This mental practice strengthens belief in your ability to face difficulties. Seeing yourself act with confidence and self-love inspires real-world action and determination. Remember that loving yourself fully is a radical act of defiance against a world that often equates worth with achievement or approval. It is an assertion of your intrinsic value independent of external validation. This recognition empowers you to live authentically and courageously. Commitment to self-love is reinforced by daily choices that align with your values and well-being. Prioritize your needs, set boundaries, and engage in nourishing habits consistently. These actions demonstrate respect and care for yourself, reinforcing your inner strength. Reflect regularly on your journey and acknowledge growth, no matter how gradual. This reflection builds gratitude and motivation, sustaining your commitment through challenges. Recognize that each step forward is a testament to your courage and self-respect. Trust in your capacity to adapt and heal. Life's difficulties may reshape you, but do not diminish your worth. Embrace change as part of your growth, holding steady in your love for yourself through every season. Ultimately, committing fully to loving yourself through challenges transforms adversity into opportunity. It deepens your connection to your inner strength and fuels ongoing personal evolution. This commitment empowers you to face life with resilience, grace, and unwavering self-respect, creating a foundation for lasting fulfillment and peace.